Hi there. Hi, everybody. I'm Patian, the curator for the Situ and exhibition. Thank you for joining us tonight to listen to the speakers to talk about our ocean and the forest. Before we start, I would like to share a bit of a background about the Situ and exhibition because this conversation is part of this entire exhibition. So I'll share screen. And I think just now when I checked, there is about 20% joining us on the Facebook. Yeah. So the Situ is actually a project that is started from a curatorial workshop organized by Japan Foundation last February. And at the end of the workshop, two proposals are selected to be materialized under the grant. So one is the Situ and the other one is Maybe, curated by Rebecca Yo. And it is currently ongoing at Tun Berak Co-op. And these are the social medias that you can check out for the event info. And then DC2 actually just started last Friday, and it will runs until 7 February. We are we just launched our ongoing website, and we hope to soon open for the on-site visit as well, but we'll see how. So it actually is a project that starts from where I was working for 3 years. It's called Gongsi Kiao, and Gongsi Kiao is located inside a warehouse zone. It's called Gudang Yee Seng too, and we are about 8 kilometers away from the city center, and we are along the Old Klang Road, which is the oldest road that connects the city center to the largest port in Malaysia, namely Port Klang, and along this segment of the Old Klang Road. Klang River actually runs parallel to us. So because of these two important roads, there is a lot of semi-industrial uh, in along this road. So just a reminder for people who just joined, please keep your mic mute. Thank you. So in Gudang Yee Seng, we have around 11 businesses that is mostly in the service and repair sector. And this you see right now is the exterior of Gongsi Kiao. And at the back, you will see the development that is ongoing that is also quite a main features along Old Klang Road. There are a lot of developments that is happening right now. But this one that you see, they are actually the owner of the Gudang Yee Seng too, but they are also the venue collaborator in this project, as well as the sponsor for this art space that we are running. So in this project, I was curious about what is our relationship with our place, also our people in Gudang Yee Seng too, as an art practitioner. And I and yeah, I find myself asking these questions about site and what does it mean to us as an art practitioner? What is our relationship with a place? But I think in this project, we slowly find out more about our neighbor as well as we ask the artists to think about how they can respond to this place and make a new work. So this is what's happening in Site A, Gudang Yee Seng 2. We have two artists, Sun Young and Novia. Maybe I can play a short video to give a feeling of what they are doing. Nasrin, can you please play Sun Young's video? Thank you, Nasrin. So Sun Young is actually constructing a temporary structure on top of a generator. So during the process, he was mostly working alone in the warehouse because of the lockdown, and only during the installation he got a bit more help to put it up. Next, I would like to show you Novia's.
好，可以重新来过。我现在在做这一张桌子，希望这张桌子能让Gudang Yee Seng的来Gudang Yee Seng或者在Gudang Yee Seng里面的人可以坐下来聚在一起聊聊天，聊聊这里的故事。我一天呢，除了睡觉和吃饭，我都在做这个，然后我觉得非常的后悔把它弄成这么大张，我应该做小张一点的。
Thank you, Nasrin. Can you please
一
pause?
天都很后悔。
So what Novia is doing is actually she illustrates the memories and observations of the daily life in Gudang Yee Seng too and make it into a table. So that's why she takes a long time to do it because it's also very intricate miniature. Yeah. So that's it for side A. And then for side B, we have two more artists, which is Rinsing and Ridwan. They have ongoing projects in multiple sites in the Klang Valley and Selangor. So we interviewed them to ask about their perspective of how is their relationship of their work with the sites they are working on. Yeah. And today we are now in Site C, where we are starting with the first conversations that give us a zoom out view to our nature environment that we almost maybe disconnect with the urban life that we are all got so used to. So I think this is like a reminder to come back to our mother nature. Yeah. So I think that's the overview for the Situ project, and I would like to share pass the session to Nisa. Thank you, Nasrin.
Hi. Thank you, Patian. Hello, hi everyone. Good evening and assalamualaikum to those who are currently tuning in on our live session, either on Zoom or through Facebook live broadcast. So welcome to another segment of Situ, an exhibition organized by JFKL and co-presented by Kongsi KL. My name is Hanisa Nordin, or Nisa, the moderator for tonight's conversation. So we are honored to bring to you 4 panelists tonight who will be sharing with us a little glimpse into their work and project around the theme of art, science, community, and nature. Right. So a little background on myself. I am a co-founder of Warna Kita Collaborative. It is a platform where we highlight craft practitioners, artists, thinkers, scientists from diverse disciplines, and highlighting their work that they are currently doing around Malaysia. So part of the panelists were some of the people that I've met through the conversation we had in Warna Kita Collaborative. Right? So as part of the main discourse of this Situ and exhibition, which Pasian has elaborated just now, looking around the theme of sites and responding to sites. So this conversation tonight is meant to open up a wider discussion of looking at sites. So rather sensitive ones, the forests and the ocean within our own backyard in Malaysia, and to share insightful and compelling stories, which might rather be foreign for the urban dwellers, for us, the urban dwellers, and in hopes that we can create awareness of what's happening around us. So let me introduce the panelists that we have tonight. We have 4 of them. So the first one is Syarifah Nadhirah. So she is a full-time visual artist, currently running her own design and print company. Hello, Syarifah Nadhirah, maybe give a wave. Yeah, so she is running her own design and print company, Paperweight Studio. She is also an author of a book, Recalling Forgotten Tastes, around the theme of indigenous culture and knowledge about plants, food, and people. Okay, the second guest we have tonight is Shaq Koyok. Hello, Shaq. Where is Shaq? Hello, Shaq. Yeah. So Shaq is a contemporary artist from the indigenous Temuan tribe of Selangor. He's also an activist fighting for his people land rights through discussions, through talks, and through the community engagement, and also through his artworks. All right. The next guest we have for tonight is Afiq Durrani. Hello, Afiq. So Afiq is a marine microbiologist based in University Malaysia Terengganu. So he has a particular interest in researching microbes in response to climate change and pollution. Okay, the last but not least, the guest we have for tonight is Shufitri. Hello, Shu. Shufitri is a multidisciplinary artist with experience in theatre performance, illustrations, and embroidery works. He also works for Kaki Seni, the organization of Kaki Seni. Right. So what's really interesting about this four guests that we have tonight, their work or their project that they did was a result of rather an interesting and meaningful collaboration between the two of them. So basically we have two pairs here. The first pair is between Yee and Shaq, and the second pair is Afiq and Shu. Okay. Yeah, so they all came from very diverse multidisciplinary background. Now we have scientists, we have artists, we have activists, we have performance artists, we have people who do embroidery, who do illustration. So it would be interesting to listen to their conversation tonight to find out more about their collaborative work. And we're gonna start with the first pair. Okay, the first pair kind of happened organically as they stumble upon each other while doing their own work, which resulted in kind of knowledge sharing. So as their work revolved around the same topic and site, which is of indigenous culture or orang asli culture, mostly around the Selangor area. So I will pass this floor to Dee and Shaq to continue on their presentation to tell us about their work and their sites. So Dee and Shaq, floor is yours.
Who should I start with? So who should we start with?
Oh yeah, Nazrin, do you mind putting on the slideshow first?
Yes, of course.
Thank you.
Of course.
Yeah, I guess I'm gonna start first.
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
All right. Okay. Yeah, and Syarifah, I think everybody know already. Right. My artwork actually it started from my experience working together with indigenous people, especially from my village. So as you can see, so much of my painting installations I will always talking about the nature, and also the story from my people, from my village, my parents, even another friends story that I try to translate it into visual work. And that, Syarifah.
Maybe Nazrin can show some of Shaq's artworks,
Oh,
Next
yeah,
slide.
next slides, yeah.
the work that he does with
Yeah, I
pandanus.
think, yep. So you can see my works talking about the environment, because I'm indigenous people, and if you know every indigenous people, we have really close connection with the nature, especially jungle and the environment that we live, and then that's actually apply in my work too. So I often reflect what I see and what I know, what I deal with in the village. So I translate into visual work and then try let my work to talk to the wider audience. And then at the same time, I like to explore with the medium that I think is quite interesting to explore. Especially, I'm at the moment I'm working with the pandanus woven mat. So I'm using the tikam as my medium of like canvas. Is the idea actually come from my parent, my mom and dad, and because they both are quite uh, active in do weaving, and also so from my background, uh, when I was younger, when I was living in a village, the only mattress we have is a pandanus mat, pandanus weaving mat, tikam mukwang. So I sleep on that. So some of my work show, but show a little bit of me in the work that I'm sleeping on the mat. So I think, and in that thing, I think I try to incorporate the traditional or natural medium to the
Okay.
to my work. The
Okay. There's also a slide on Shaq's work through activism. Yeah.
yes, yeah. Some of my activism is involving with the go to street and do a little bit poster for the street demonstration, and also empower the Morasli kids. I mean the younger generation of Morasli by run the workshops together with them. So the workshop are usually using art in engaging with the communities. So in art I will talk about the indigenous right, talking about the human right, and also and let them to express the understanding about the about this issue to medium to the art medium, so they can draw something and they can say something in the work without their saying in the word, so I tell them how to use the visual art as a method for them to communicate.
Okay. Hi everyone. My name is Syarifah Nadhirah. I'm a visual artist. So the work that I do is mainly botanical, as you can see, and I work a lot with mediums such as watercolor and printmaking. I'm mostly inspired by like all things living, and generally I just have a great curiosity in plants and everything that revolves around them. But only quite recently, my interest grew into food and how forage plants can be integrated into our diet. So this is where the point of convergence came about with Shaq. Uh, I met him quite a number of times in multiple events before actually having the confidence to ask him if I could visit his hometown in Kuala Langai, to just learn more about the forest and its rich biodiversity. Much contrary to what some politicians think, and some politicians who still think that it's not worth saving. So yeah, to see the heavy lifting work that Shah and his community does to fight against such judgments just shows how injustice is still deeply rooted in our system. So it was only necessary to bring forth this huge matter across, even if it's just about plants or trees in the forest. And yeah, so we went on for a few excursions to understand more and to just learn and see and experience this not so hidden gem. It's right in the middle of Selangor, and unfortunately, it's threatened by external factors such as deforestation and developments and just a bunch of politicians. And yeah, it's important for me to address that in the work that I do as well. Um, so through these excursions, Shaq and his friend Samsul brought us to the forest and told us about the various ancient trees that are still there, the medicinal and edible plants that the community still find useful, even when modern medicine fails them. So for this project also, I was also introduced to Shah's sister and mother to dive a little bit deeper into the preparations of Temuan cuisines using some of these forage plants. Maybe Nazrin can show the next slides where Shah's sister and the whole family just we had a food session where they introduced us to these forage plants, and as you can see, these plants were foraged and used in cooking, such as pais ikan keli and ayam masak dalam bulo. So both of them became a huge and crucial part of the project that I'm working on. Yeah, so this is the part where I would like to emphasize that even though Shaq and I did not necessarily collaborate to produce something together, but I would like to thank Shaq because he allowed me to be in the same space, even though I'm an outsider, a non-orang asli, to be in the same place and to access the same knowledge and to understand his culture, his heritage, which we both think that they are greatly threatened by these external factors. And even with all of that, their values still remain at having strong physical and spiritual ties with the forest. So I hope with this, even though it's a small effort compared to other people who are doing much bigger works and with greater impacts, I hope this work takes part in the bigger picture to help raise awareness and yeah, not just stop here. It's still a tumultuous journey that we all have a part to play in. Yep, that's all from me.
All right. Thank you, Dee and Shaq, for sharing your work and your inspiration. I hope you don't mind me showing the book that you did. I bought one. Yeah. So this is the book that Dee had produced, Recalling Forgotten Tastes, where she kind of illustrates, all these indigenous plants and that you can find in the forest, and kind of documenting the stories told by the indigenous community. It's a very interesting book. It's available if you guys would like to purchase it. Sorry, iklan sekejap. All right, so let's open up the wider discussion around your topic and site. The site specifically being the forest of Hutan Sipan Kuala Langat, and the topic of indigenous and orang asli culture, right? So as you mentioned before, you as kind of like an outsider, coming into these kampung. Yeah, Shaq has one too. Right. So it's a kind of like accessing the and accessible, this protected knowledge and this faraway places, be it literally or metaphorically, beyond what our eyes can see. So, what is your role as an artist, as a visual artist, in that?
Um, well, for the work that I do and what Shaq does is very much separated in terms of approach. Shaq does a lot of activism work on the ground, community building, and just combining his art with it, which I find to be really special because one's struggle, if not written or spoken, it can be easily understood through artworks and paintings such as Shaq's. So I believe his art is a very powerful tool to send important messages across. Um, for myself, obviously I came in as an outsider, a curious learner. My intention is to just, draw these plants from the forest that his community depends on, and to just compile them and get their perspectives on it. Um, the book is just another way to preserve their knowledge and to have their narrative to remain across the book, meaning it is me and the readers who are learning from them and not the other way around. Yeah, I mean, the last thing I want to do is to set a bigger role for myself for this kind of work because I I believe that Shah and his friend Samsul, the whole community, and many other Oransi communities, they all hold the most important role in carrying their voice. At the end of the day, um, it is their story, and we all agreed that this story and knowledge ought to be shared far and wide uh,
Mhm.
to raise more awareness and to provide a change in narrative, and to somehow disrupt the system that we have now and create more space for indigenous people
Mm.
to speak and for their identity to thrive. Yeah,
Yeah, I agree. I think the point is that to kind of bring this awareness to a wider public. I mean, what your book is doing is that, to just
I hope.
let people know of the stories, because the site, which is in Kuala Langat, it's actually very near to where we live. It's within the urban areas, just sitting next to each other, and we are neighbors pretty much, but we don't know what is happening with our neighbors. Yeah, so I think even myself, through this book, I got to know more about their stories and what are they facing. It's a very serious matter that we need the awareness to be spread among people. So talking about awareness, so I have a question for Shad. You know, so with awareness comes action. So we live in this age where we are bombarded with a lot of information, just through our handphones, we get to know a lot of different things, right? So how do we want to create a lasting impact or meaningful change? How do we carry that narrative so that people realize that there's something need to be done and people move forward to take action or to do something to help the situation? What are the challenges for you as an activist in trying to spread the awareness?
I think when I'm talking now, this time of day, our challenges is the emergency and the political and the system of Malaysia now. They don't practice the democracy, so that's our challenges now because all my plan to do community engagement is currently have to hold for a while, and also and you know during when before this lockdown, before this pandemic, and I will be able usually go to the community and then talk to the community and also try to raise their voice, and through the engagement I will produce some of work, so, not just a painting but also some video. I will record a video and put in the YouTube and share it, because in this time people, I, I, I believe that with the technology everybody can be uh, full informed what happened in their uh, in our neighbor, in our country. Because uh, representation is matter at the moment, and that's why I try to do quite a lot. And then but with this pandemic it's quite difficult, but uh, I try my best to to represent the oral asli, and then try to you know voice their right and their frustration through my social media, and also and also teach them a little bit about how to record their story. For example, um, I'm and also part of the group of YouTuber or content creator in the YouTube, and we train the Rasli and give it a little bit lesson how to create a video and post it on social media, because that's actually, even though that's simple, but actually that's the most important thing. At least their voice, their language, and the story being told in the very honest way. I mean, they don't have so much filter they can go through. They are just direct from the heart, direct from the community. I think that's very important. I think that's also I think everybody can do by if you have any expertise in video making and filmmaking, maybe do a workshop with the community, and try and give them some of tools, and teach a little bit lesson about how to create better video, because every Orasli have a smartphone, so yes, I'm sure to use that. We need to use that opportunity we have, and tell them to tell, to not to be shy, to tell a story in their video or pictures, or anything in the social media. That's the only thing I think everybody can do.
Yes, yes, to empower them to do something for themselves. Yeah, I think that is the most powerful message, I think, to anyone, rather than kind of doing the things for them, let them do it for themselves.
Exactly. Yeah, just guide them to the do better, and in their presenting their stories. And also another thing I think that very effective to do is try pressure the local MP to be aware about what happening in the grassroots level of people, because sometimes MP sometimes they talk big in the political speech, but they don't do the work. So go to social media or write down letter, be aware what happening in their own backyard, and then care about environment and care about their own people. Orasli is a Malaysian also. So
yeah, follow them on social media and kind of send them DMs and whatnot.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, maybe you can be the next MP soon. I don't know. Yeah,
No.
in the future,
No.
to fight for the rights of the indigenous people. We never know. Okay.
Being artist activist is enough.
All right. Thank you so much, Shaq and Dee, for that very, very interesting discussion around the theme of indigenous culture and the site of forest, Hutan Simpan or Forest Reserve. Okay. We're gonna move on to the next fair. So please bear with me. So we're going into kind of like the second pair and their collaborative work. Okay. Let me see. So this second collaborative pair, Afiq and Shu, happened rather intentionally. It's a slightly different collaboration as compared to Dee and Shaq, because they get together as part of a competition entry for the Art Science Malaysia Prize, which was held last year in 2020. So this is where we see a really wonderful collaboration of scientific knowledge and artistic expression, which resulted in an embroidery installation that tells the story from the ocean. So I will leave it to Afiq and Shu to tell us about their work, The Last Glow.
All right, thank you. Hello, everyone. So before we start, let's get some perspective. I'm Afiq. I'm not the artist. Shufitri is. He will come in later. So I wanted to use art as the medium to connect the ocean with us, basically, because we are so distant and far away. But yeah, you guys can hear me, right?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, loud and clear.
Right. So the debugs in deafening silence. Right?
Yeah.
So, so it's basically I'm using. I wanted to use art as a medium to connect us, like the community, back to our ocean. So why specifically the corals, and why am I a microbiologist so interested in corals? It's yeah. Nisa, can you go back to the first slide?
It's Nazrin, I think.
Oh, okay.
Nazrin controlling the slide.
Sorry, maybe Nazrin can stop sharing because Afiq
Yeah,
wants
and
to
then I
control your
can.
own slide, right?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Initially, no worries, Chao. Okay, then I need to pull up the slide, which I thought I had open. Okay. All right. So we've got our coral reefs, and this is basically where it is distributed in Malaysia, which is quite a lot. All the red spots there. They are mainly the hotspots of life, just like how KL is to the rest of the country. It's where it's the most busiest and the most interesting to me. The short answer is like coral reefs are also where other organisms in the ocean live, and where they breed, and where they spawn, and where like most of our food, most of our actually half of our oxygen, it comes from the ocean as well, and the other half comes from our rainforest. So hold on, yeah, so it's blocking. Okay. They respond to the environment just like how we do, and essentially the focus is I wanted to change the perspective and view coral reefs from the microbes perspective. So we are now trying to be empathic to the microorganisms. So when you look at the coral reefs, they are your infrastructure. They are the tall buildings, they are the high rises, the malls, and a lot of other things. A lot of life flows through them, and a lot of literally like life as in organisms, as well as the water currents, as well as the seawater forces. They flow through them and it protects them. Okay. Okay. So corals, right? They're actually made up of a colony of polyps. So these polyps are what you can see zoomed in the picture here. And that's one single animal, and they come together, they build an entire coral as a community. And that is what you see when you look at corals. That's what you actually see. They're not just rocks, they're living things. So they build their shells on the base of their feet, and at night they retract, and then in the day they retract, and at night they come out. And when you go snorkeling, when you go diving, it's what you see is basically a retracted version, just the outer shell. Right. So when we zoom in a little bit more into your corals, into each polyp, you can actually find the microbes. For example, this is the Zooxanthellae. We call them just Zooks for short. And they are actually the plants, the microorganismic plants that live inside the tissues. And they are basically the house garden for the corals. So they've got their own food supply coming from inside. And at night, when there's no sunlight, they just scavenge for whatever that drifts into the ocean floor, right? So this has been known and established for at least like 240 million years. The oldest corals are that old. But the thing is, just like us, when the rent gets too high, we can get evicted, or we need to move out, and we need to find somewhere more affordable to live in. So instead of the rent actually rising, it's actually the temperature for them, as well as other stresses in the ocean that's caused by, unfortunately, most of it is caused by humans, or the biggest pressure is caused by humans. Even though we are not directly living next to the sea, what we do and how the sea is connected to us, maybe not so apparent to most, but we are actually affecting them just as much as they are affecting us. And right now we're doing a bad job at it. So we are causing climate change, which causes the temperature to get high, and it also causes more storms to come over, to occur. And this is actually directly affecting the microbes living inside the corals. So when it gets too hot, they have to leave. And when they do, it's called bleaching. So the zoots are the ones who give corals their bright, pretty colors. And when they bleach, this is what the corals are left with, which is just their tissue. Their tissue is see-through, and their skeleton is just white, like our bones. So when when they are bleached, they get hungry quicker because they don't have the food supply coming to them in the day. So they just have to rely on scavenging at night. And that's not great, especially when there's other stresses involved, like strong waves, strong currents. They break easily, and then they essentially die off. And when they die, they get covered by other types of algae that grows over them. It turns into like a haunted mansion, for example. Just to like relate back to human perspective, right? So the thing is, there was a turning point. So some corals, when they bleach, they seem to glow. This was recently seen. I don't know if you guys have seen Netflix Chasing Corals. This was featured hard on it, and then people started getting into it. So that specific case, or in this specific picture, they found it in the Great Barrier Reef, which is one of the biggest coral reefs in the world. But it's not saying that just the coral reefs, just the corals in the Great Barrier Reef glow. Well, we don't know yet whether ours glow or not. But this is also dependent on our environment, in our localized environment. So these fluorescents, why do they glow? It's basically to attract back the zooks that left. So they are promoting themselves as like a neon nightclub happening, but in the day, so that the zooks actually can want to come back. And the science of it is they transform the light that zooks use to photosynthesize, to make food out of the sun. So they transform unusable sunlight into usable sunlight. So they just basically concentrate as much usable light as they can for the zooks, to providing them a better home, as well as it's also like a sunblock for them that shields them from the intense sunlight. So because they're so bare and the tissues are see-through, they need something to push away. Right. So this is just a story that, as in this is a real thing that's happening in the ocean. And we don't know whether it's happening yet in Malaysia, but we are keen on finding out. But at the same time, we don't want to wait till this happens, because this is a last measure or the last blow for the corals itself. The thing is, we don't know if we have time, if we have time basically for the next generation to see the corals, because there is increasing pressure coming from us. And even though we feel disconnected, we are so very much connected to them. So I approached Shufitri with this story, and I wanted him to bring the corals to people who are landlocked, basically like people in where we live in KL or that don't live next to the sea. So we need to be reminded of what the corals are going through, and we need to empathize with the microbes, because these microbes are just rich with things we can get for medicine, the things we can use for life. They are responsible for our food supply, a lot of like good things for us, necessary things for us. So I'll pass this over to Shufitri so he can explain a bit more on the artwork.
Thank you, Afiq. Thank you for the story time. So Afiq, he approached me just like Nisa said. He approached me for a collaboration for the Art Science Prize last year, and I gravitated towards the story of the corals and their symbiont, the zooks, because I find it very poetic, and then it could reflect on a lot of things. With this artwork, we want to put the story forward. We want people to connect to this story that Afiq just told just now with their daily life in relationships that we have with other people, us as a community, us as a person in a community, and us as a person living in a country. And then, can you go to the next slide, please? So working on this artwork, we want to reflect on these corals through embroidery. I chose this embroidery art form because just like the corals, I also want to manifest or capture the resilience and the quietness of the corals. And it's the techniques, the approaches that I use for each of the coral panels. For example, there's the first one is the mushroom corals, which is like very long, and then the next one is the calico, which is have it with me. The calico is very not this one.
The skeleton at the bottom of the polyps that they can retract to, basically. So that's the hole they come out of.
Yeah. So those are the different. So I use different approach for each of the embroidery panels. Basically, it in a way, the approach that I choose also kind of reacts to how the shape of the corals is going to be. Just like the corals are with the shape of, just like the corals are with the dynamic forces of the ocean. And the interactive element that we put in, the wayang element is we want to put in the viewers of the artwork so they could just shine the light on the panels as zooks themselves. The zooks are trying to find a new home. You as the zooks are trying to find a new home, and this glowing beacon is attracting you. So we want to really put that in. So this artwork is relatively new, and we're exploring how we could use this body of work for advocacy, telling stories. So can you go to the next slide, please? Yeah. And this artwork, we hope that will provide a constant narrative to reflect on nature, the story of the corals and the algae. Like Afiq mentioned, we can relate ourselves as the corals, relating things now where things around the corals are not so great, when they can only stay in one spot because that's how they built, and just work with whatever that they have around them to protect themselves and the existing algae that's living in them. and around them. It sounds quite familiar with us living during these extraordinary times. So that's me kind of echoing what our previous speakers also mentioned about stories. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Shu, for the sharing. Thank you, Afiq, as well. The
So,
scientist.
I think
yeah.
I think what we forgot to mention in the artwork was that the white coral is actually, it glows after when it's dark. Like basically, when you shine the light onto it, you don't see it glowing as much. But then the minute you shine away your light, it starts glowing back. Just like how.
Oh yeah, I have it with me right now.
All right.
So here it is.
Okay.
So it's kind of glowing.
Right. I guess if you switch off your room's light, then you might see it glow more.
Yeah.
Right, in darker space. Okay. Yeah. So it's actually a part of an installation, right? How you kind of like put it in an installation, and people can interact with the artwork and engage with it. Right. So I think this brings us to the kind of like a topic about humanizing science, using art as a language of storytelling, like how do you think this kind of creative expression helps us to understand better or help us to engage better? How do you see the engagement of the people who has approached your artwork?
Okay, so kind of echoing to what Syarifah Nadhirah said about narratives and things like that, because I feel that storytelling has been important for human life, and growing up and even now, it makes us understand life lessons and concepts, and which we then hold on to kind of affect our decisions and what we believe in. So there are so many reflections that we can find in action in nature. So we can see them in technology, we can see them in engineering, we can see them in fashion, and so many other things. So when I heard about the corals and the zooks relationship in the last globe, for example, it puts things into a perspective that it made me realize that stories needs to be told. And this is just me with Afiq, and we may have more stories to uncover. And hopefully when we tell these stories, people could champion the preservation of the coral reefs and maybe, other stories.
Yeah. So I think you were saying about how you try to highlight the stories, the scientific knowledge, and through this art piece. I think a question for Afiq from the scientific community himself, right? What is the challenge faced by the scientists in trying to tell their stories? Like you said, out of sight, out of mind. If you don't tell the stories, if you didn't let the people know, we as public wouldn't be able to know what is going on.
So for one thing, it's like an overabundance of information as well. And then it's trying to channel information into a more approachable way. So we don't want people to just read papers and read charts and graphs. We want to show them in a attractive way, in a relatable way. That's why art to me speaks more than what words or picture or just like normal graphs can. And it's universal as well. So even if the problem we see was in the Great Barrier Reef, but it's relatable to us in Malaysia because we also have a lot of our coral reefs, and they are also experiencing similar things with bleaching, with temperatures. So it's more to learning from them and making sure that doesn't happen to us. But in order to get the community involved, in order to get full support from the community, that will then be supported by government and funding, we need to convince the society that this is something we need to look into. This is something, it's important for us, it's important for the next generation, it's important for the current generation to live in, to have this information accessible.
Would you see this kind of collaboration of science and art happening more, and would you encourage it to happen more?
I definitely hope it happens more. There's a few cases where not cases, there's a few occurrences where it has happened and it did shape the direction of the community, and it did shape where they decide to create policies in. So it's a warm approach versus like our world is dying, blah 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 blah. You know, like it's a warmer thing. Like, look, you need to love this thing, and we need to protect it, instead of you're doing everything wrong, blah blah blah.
And I think it's also a process for the artists to work on it, because we may not have the information, we may not have the knowledge. So when we work on this, we work on the work. It's basically a process for us to uncover and putting ourselves the techniques and that we know and with things that we don't know. So we put them together to create something.
Yeah. And I think art has this power of kind of highlighting or manifesting the beauty that is already intrinsic that we might take for granted, or we might not be able to see it or access it, like because corals is somewhere very deep in the ocean that people don't have access to. So through this kind of artistic expression that managed to capture those very intricacies, very detailed.
It's not even in the deep one. There are deep corals, but the ones we were highlighting is the shallow ones.
Oh,
and
really?
Even then, a lot of people still don't have access to, obviously. But I mean, we have it. It's in our backyard. Like, we need to know why we are so rich. We are rich in this biodiversity, whether it's on land or in the sea. We as a country are extremely lucky to be situated where we are, that has the most biodiversity of life, both forest and in the sea. So we need to understand how lucky we are before it's gone. Yeah.
So what's in the future? What's in the
What's in
future
the
for your
future
collaboration? For the collaboration,
right.
yeah. Not for the
the corals or the life. So we're still planning on expanding it, where we want to take this medium and make it bigger So I would like Shu to basically like just explain more if you want to.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's for now we're like trying to map out what we want to do, and how can we expand to this kind of works. Yeah.
We want
and also,
reach and a platform.
Yeah,
basically.
yeah. Thank you for giving us this platform to share and
thank you as well to
for this story.
Balkis previously who gave us another platform, and it's like just it's ongoing, it's building and building, which is nice.
But I think the most important part will be this kind of collaboration, which I've been echoing a lot. Imagine if this is like embroidery. Imagine for scientists to be working with not just scientists, but to be working with artists like dancers and traditional practitioners and different kinds of art forms. What stories what kind of stories and how can it be presented and how can it be give an impact?
I agree. Yeah, so it's a shout out to anyone who is interested to learn more about the scientific knowledge. You can start with Dr. Afiq. He is open to share his scientific knowledge. Right. So now let's open up the question to our two other guests as well, Dee and Shaq. Right. So we are moving into the Q&A session, where we open up the question from our audiences. But before that, I would like to point my question to each one of you first. Right. So what is the challenge and what is the essential quality needed in collaborative endeavors in the knowledge sharing? So maybe we can start with Dee. A little bit of your thought on how to go about collaborative endeavors.
For me and for the kind of work that I do, I think it's important to consider what the other party feels about your work and whether they are comfortable with it. And yeah, because we deal mostly with indigenous knowledge, and it's a precious thing to hold on to, and I have to be mindful of that narrative. And yeah, I mean the work is essentially an ever growing documentation, and um, it revolves it in collaboration. It also revolves around question of intent. I think, like, what do you hope to achieve with it, and yeah, and just to continuously reflect on this kind of work that you're doing with other people, and to see yourself, where do you see yourself in this process, in this kind of work. And um, yeah, I think it's that.
Yeah, good. Yeah,
Can I
good.
add a little bit?
Yes,
Yeah.
please, Shaq, please add.
Yeah, I think I've been reading twice already now. Your
Wow,
works,
twice.
because because every time I see something, I will text Syarifah. I will call her.
Yeah.
Okay, this is this. So I found
Feedback.
that kind of communication, that kind of engagement that we do actually translate the voice into fine, easy understand medium. For example, the work on books, because the books like this, especially in English, it will go to our global audience, and then to redefine the meaning of the one language to English, sometimes it doesn't sound exactly what I mean. So that's, I think it's quite tough for me and tough for D, I think.
Yeah.
So this why I like how D use her watercolor work to so-called what's it called? Uh, uh, give you full depth of the story that she want to tell, based the based on her experience listening to the community that she work with, and she almost channel that to the word that she can relate to the outer audience. For me, I'm not a writer. Probably hard for me to to write, to express what I want to express. I rather pen.
Yeah, you ready to draw?
Exactly. Yes.
We have a question from the audience. How and where to get a copy of the book? Yes, question to
uh,
D.
it's available in bookstores. Yeah,
I
you can
think,
get it at Tinta Budi, Ilham, Gift Shop. I'll
yeah,
share with you the link.
yeah. I think a lot of the independent
So
bookstores in Malaysia are selling the books. Or do you sell it directly from
yep,
your social media?
I'll just share a link to everyone if anyone's interested.
Yeah. Okay. So D will put on the link.
Yep.
Right. Thank you, D. Right. So Shu and Afiq, comment on how to work collaboratively successfully.
I think when you're collaborating, it's important to be open also, and then it's also important to be on the same page, because of course I wouldn't know a lot of things. So it's important for both of us to be on the same page when we're collaborating, so that we don't get anything wrong. Yeah, and then the direction will be smoother, and then it's a nicer journey for everyone.
Okay.
And for me, I think it's being generous, I guess, like with your time, with your knowledge, with going back and forth, and give and take lah, basically. Like maybe the main idea was this way, but throughout the whole process, it's gonna transform into something else. Just embrace that. You gotta trust the process, I guess.
Mm.
Okay, that's very quick. Quick advice.
Yeah.
Short advice.
All right.
Okay, but anyway, we have a question from the audience from Zoom by Kenneth Wong. Shu and Afiq, ever thinking to showcase in Langkawi Biennale if there's chance in the future? Such work could also use as projection in a theatre play that related to climate change, etc. So
Let's
yeah.
go, jom. We would love to.
Yes, me too. I want to go to Langkawi.
Yeah.
I am waiting.
Yeah, I mean, these people, they are open to any collaboration effort. Yeah, anything people are interested for them to do, they are open to it. With the passion that they have and the sort of the young drive to kind of carry forward their work. Yeah, it's not a dead end. Yeah.
Yeah, we can start planning if anything, and once PKP is done with, we can, have one up already.
Yes.
We're pretty much an open book lah. Macam just let's go. Whoever wants to collaborate, Seni Tiga. we are up
Wink,
for
wink,
it.
Seni Tiga.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got some programs coming up, but we'll keep you posted.
Thanks.
Right, we got another question for Shu actually about his embroidery work. Let me scroll through this Zoom. Oh yeah, just curious, how long does one embroidery take for you to finish? Your work is so intricate.
Thank you for the question.
By Annette Ram. Sorry. Annette.
It kind of depends on the corals. Basically, some would take. It's basically 2 to 4 weeks per panel. 2 to 4 weeks per panel, and because I have a day job, so I need to just work on it early in the morning and late at night kind of thing. So but this took the longest time.
That is a fan coral, right?
This is the fan coral. So in the techniques is very just a lot of the short lines. So it's very it takes a long time to do. Yeah, but the shortest one would be like this one could just take a few days. Yeah.
Few days. Wow, that is quick.
Yeah, because
Looks
it's
so
also
intricate.
because it's also I need to plan what kind of approach should I make, should I do for each of the kinds of corals. So I need to try and test first.
Right. Yeah. I think it's all very beautiful work. I wish I can see it in front of my eyes rather than see it through a screen. I would appreciate more, I think. We have a question from Balkis, our very good friend. Let me see, it's a long one. So she says, thank you for the eye-opening stories, Nadhirah, Shaq, Afiq and Shu. I am interested to know how some of you approach art making, collaborations or community outreach during this time of pandemic. Has it been hard to reconnect to your site, subject matter or wider public without being able to be or share in the same physical space? How do you overcome that? So this is a question specific to the time that we live right now in the pandemic situation. So anyone wants to answer that question?
I think it's hard. It's hard to do public engagement and also outreach program with the community. The only it's hard because some of community area cannot be reached on the phone. To send WhatsApp take them 1 day to reply. So
yeah.
So I think it's happened to everybody.
Yes. But it's still happening. Maybe it's just in a very slower pace than real life engagement. But you still are keeping the work going, isn't it, through these virtual platforms? What some of the examples of events or virtual events that you are doing, Shaq?
Virtual event, I think yesterday I just
You
had.
just did yesterday.
Okay. Yeah.
That's only engagement. I mean, like a public outreach lah. To the public, I think I managed to get in touch with my friends, indigenous artists in Australia and New Zealand, and they up to share about their perspective and also what happening in Australia and New Zealand also, how the indigenous people they coping to the environment issue, about indigenous knowledge issue, and also about the pandemic issue, and then so it's actually opened my mind into bigger spaces. I think that's most important. I hope that will create some more awareness to the audience who watch that the conversation we had yesterday. You can watch it again and in my Facebook page, I think.
Okay. Yeah. So follow the social media. It's alive and
Yes.
very active. All right. There's another question for Shu and Afiq actually. Let's see. In your opinion, sorry, not Shu and Afiq, for Shaq and Dee, in your opinion, should Indigenous studies and way of life, including language, etc., be included in schools nationwide? That is quite a big question. You think, yeah, it should be taught in the
Yes.
school?
It should be included in our history textbooks.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think
That's it.
yeah, for someone who grew up as a non-orang asli, I don't know anything about them until recently. I mean, the curiosity in me just drove me to learn more, but the absence of their history and their indigenous knowledge in any aspect in our system is very much still small. And yeah, it's important for them to have a place in the school, in education system. Yeah, it's very important. Of course, I think that has more things to add.
Yeah, and I like to add a little bit because if you want to protect the environment, you need to protect the indigenous people.
Yeah, they are the
Means,
protectors of the forest.
Exactly, and in order for everybody to protect orang asli, you need to learn about their cultural background. History important, the story is important. So if you don't know if you don't understand somebody, you need to learn. So in order for us to respect somebody, you need to learn their background before you approach them. So I think that's general. I think that's generic to anybody.
Yeah. I think that is an important link that is missing. We feel that different communities are very segregated. Like their community is their community, my community is my community. But for you to kind of showcase that we are all interlinked in this, like you say, how the Orang Asli are the protectors and the guardian and the forest is related to us, as the public as well. So it's all interlinked, even with the ocean as well. Like even the corals, we feel like there is no relation to us, but actually there is very strong relation of the corals to us. And
sure.
Yeah.
So I think we have been so disconnected from our environment, from our, other than what immediate environment, we are disconnected from the rest of nature, the rest of how things work, and it's about time that we get back into it lah. I think people back then used to be so in tune with it, and now we have just lost it a bit, a lot, not a bit. So it's important that we start getting back these like fundamental knowledge, these ways of life that do not destruct, but it goes hand in hand. Yeah.
So I think it brings us to this very important question by Majida Nizam. So she asked to all panelists, how important are policymakers and state leaders' role on nature preservation and climate change? Also for
Extremely
citizens.
important.
Yeah, also for citizens who are not actively participating in the activism or art scene, in what ways do you think we can be mindful and responsible in our carbon footprint? So an advice for anyone who's either not in activism or in art scene, what can they do in
So
response to this information?
the first question is, for me, it's
The
definitely
policymakers,
very, very important. Especially policy is too slow. The process is very slow, and we are not keeping up with the changes that's going on. So it's important that we speed things up, or we make it a bit more efficient in how and what are the key areas that we want to tackle in. And for the citizens, your role is to pressure them. It's the more you know about your environment, the more you are aware of your rights. The ocean is your rights, the forest is your rights, it's your children's rights to have like better air quality, to have better resources. Your food has to be secured. Like there's so many things we depend on them. We depend on nature, but sometimes we don't realize because things are in the supermarket. Where did it come from? Obviously out there. So things in your medicine cabinet, where did it come from? Biotechnology, it's mostly taken from other living things. It's mostly sea creatures, like sponges have been used for multiple drugs. So it's like you don't realize, but it's there. So you need to reconnect. And as citizens, once you know what you want to protect, you can definitely voice out, pressure them. This is not okay. Do something about it. Be better. If not, you're out. Next government come back in now. Like that is the power of the people.
And by voicing out, it's also spreading, advocating, and then also sharing people about to champion these causes, and then to educate people, especially the younger generation as well.
Yeah, I mean, it can start as simple as sharing a post or sharing Instagram account, or whoever that is fighting for this. Yeah.
Social media is definitely strong in this, but we need to translate it as well to real life. Like not just speak there, but also go out and get in touch with the community.
Yeah, and especially during this time where it's harder to travel and things like that, collaboration is very important. So we could reach a wider audience, and then so we could engage more.
Okay. Right. Let me see if you have any other question that we can ask. I think we're gonna keep the Q&A till 10.
I'm sure Shaq wants to add a bit more on the policymakers.
Oh yeah, I think he already. Yeah, we are opening a Pandora box with Shaq.
Yes, I think that's our responsibility as a citizen of Malaysia. We need to pressure the local MP, politicians, and we need also to cross-check all the facts that been told by politicians. Make sure they are accurate, and also is in our information as well before we sending to the social media. Make sure you cross-check all the facts, consider all that research been done by the scientists like Afiq and others, and then put the right information out there. And also the policymaker, like the MP, and if we see something wrong, make sure write them later in personal letter, even send it to the office, and then do some campaign like petition to let them to act based on the people voice, because we as a citizen, we vote for the politician to do the policy maker for our country. It's another thing I like to share a little about the initiative. Maybe we can think about that carbon footprint that we release. I think if the least that I think public can do, if you want to drive a car, you want to buy a new car, maybe try to consider not buying a car or motorbike, walk or cycling. You know, that's actually contribute to reduce your carbon footprint to our atmosphere. Because if you put more carbon footprint to atmosphere, will create more global warming, that affect coral in the sea, and that's all the pollution is in our air. So
Of
that's a
course.
simple.
Yeah. But also like it's difficult to completely change your lifestyle entirely, but you do what you can to get that carbon neutrality. So even if you do have to drive because your work commute is far away or whatever, we understand, but try to compensate that with have a garden, have plants, you know, like do what you can, learn more. Like I mean, not like investigate more online. Everything is there. Everything is like in your phone, in on TikTok, on Instagram, you know, like things there are things what you can do where you don't realize it's easy to just cut back on a little bit, and over time that little bit amounts up, you know.
Yep.
For sure.
Let me read a comment from Vernon Adrian M. Wang on Facebook. So he said, love this deep collaboration between scientists, artists, and activists. Keep on trucking. I'm not too sure what that's supposed to mean. Trucking as in truck. But yeah, sounds like a very
I
good
think
comment.
vigilant. I think.
Okay. Thank you for that lesson. I think we're just in time for a last question from Yi Chikam to Afiq. So he asked, do you study other microbes apart from zooks? Any culturable ones?
I don't specifically culture zooks, but I am more towards bacteria. I am more into host bacteria interaction. So even though I use zooks in this story because it's the most easily told story at this point, but in the future I will have more bacteria host related stories or symbiosis research. So currently I'm into sea urchins and their bacterial community. I'm working into that. Just starting into that. And before this it was bacteria and phytoplankton out in the North Sea. So it's all related somewhere there. Yeah. But mostly bacteria is my specialty.
Bacteria is your specialty. A nice way to start a conversation.
It's because they always get like a bad report, right? So everyone thinks of bacteria as a bad thing, as germs, but most of it is like the good stuff. There's only a few that causes you the diseases. So that's important to first understand microbes are good for us, for the world, for the environment.
Yeah. The only good bacteria that I know is in the Vitagen.
Yogurt. Yeah.
Yakult.
Yakult,
Yakult.
those kind.
Kimchi, the probiotics. Yeah. We're trying to understand more things that could be turned into probiotics.
All right, I think that's our last question that we have from the audience. Oh, but there's actually a request to see the cat.
No.
Can we see the cat?
You can hear the voice.
Yeah, we keep hearing the meowing, but we don't see.
Yeah. I
the
think
cat.
he gave up and he just like went somewhere to hide and just like chill.
He wanted
I don't
your
know
attention.
where he is. Yeah, sorry.
Even the Zoom meeting, cat.
For a bit, yeah.
Like, who are you talking to, human?
Scene stealer lah, scene stealer. A scene
Correct.
stealer, yeah. Okay, I think that's the end of our conversation. Yeah.
Oh, there's a quote from someone
There's
in the comment,
comments.
Nagani. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
One falling leaf is not just one leaf, it means the whole world. If we do not comply to Mother Nature, we will not lose everything but face the wrath of the planet.
Mm-hmm. I
And
guess
we are
that's a
already
good.
facing the rest.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are actually in the
Yeah.
middle of the wrath.
Mm.
I think someone just now also mentioned in the comment, but it went quick. It's
Yeah.
already happening. The glow is happening in Tioman,
Mm.
which is
Oh,
so it's
somebody spotted it.
yeah. So I guess
Okay.
I'm not sure who that person is. I lost them
Yeah,
in
I
the
think
comments,
I might
but
miss that one.
yeah. So I guess it's already in our shores. Again, I'm not the coral expert. I'm the microbe expert,
You're the
but
bacteria
but
expert.
but the corals are the homes. So like we need to protect their homes.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's a last a good statement to leave us, to let us think what should we do,
Yeah.
with all this. All right, PCN.
Thank you,
Hey,
Nisa.
I'll pass it to you to wrap this session up.
Yeah, okay, sure.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you to all the speakers. I just wonder, like, how many of people who are joining in the Zoom here are actually like lives in like the urban, or how many people are living like by the sea or in the near the forest. Maybe you can live in the chat group, because I'm so curious, like how many of us here are actually feel that ocean and the forest is actually new to us. Yeah. And
Mm.
then also because the Situ started as a very urban based kind of project, so I thought it would be interesting for us to reconnect back with the nature. I think the panels and Afiq, Shu, Shaq, and Dee has shared very well, and how important it is for us to also keep supporting the cause to protect our environment. Hmm. Okay. Hiya. I think I want to share with you the social media of each of our speakers. I also realize everybody here is very social media based.
No,
Oh, it's like Afiq.
very. Yeah. Sometimes I'm there, sometimes I'm not. See lah. As in, I read lah, but I don't post as much.
I mean, we use whatever tools we have on our hands to do the work that we
Correct.
can. Yeah.
Yeah, I think also like sometimes when we are too busy with work, it's very easy to get disconnected. Because I also realized like when I was preparing for this, the past week I was preparing for this exhibition, and I've created so much plastic because I tapao food.
Oh.
You can reuse the tapal containers.
Yeah.
Can.
Wow. Somebody is living near National Park in Johor. Hafiza Raza. That would be interesting.
Oh yeah.
We have
Nice.
a
Then
viewer from Singapore.
hey,
Oh,
hi
hello from
Fear.
Indonesia. Wow.
Fear is my internship friend, I think. Kan. Oh yeah, yeah. I would like to take a group photo if you guys don't mind. Can turn on your video
For sure.
and let's take a group photo together. Wow, finally see everybody's faces. So cool. Oh, yeah, I got Iklan, Arif Afandi.
Yes?
Oh, got iklan.
Iklans
Oh.
of retelling forgotten days.
Thanks.
Yeah, bring it out as well. Since it's good knowledge.
Jantung pisang.
I'll open up.
Can I just plug one thing as well since we're on social media? If you want to
Yes.
have a virtual dive, go ahead to my YouTube channel, Afiq Dur. You can use your iPhone, and if you have Google Cardboard, you can look at it by moving with your head. If not, you can just move your phone around, and it feels like you're diving lah. Basically, there's two videos, one underwater and one above water. If
I've
you're
just
interested in experiencing the ocean from your home.
Oh.
Oh,
The-
wow.
I've just pasted the link in the chat box.
Oh, awesome.
Nice.
Okay, is everyone ready for the group photo?
Yeah.
All right. Maybe Nazrin can help us,
Yes,
please.
I'm ready.
Thank you.
Everyone's ready?
Yeah.
All right. So I'll count. So when okay lah. So I kira 1, 2, 3, you start lah.
Okay.
All right. Okay. 3, 2, 1. Okay, clear.
Thank you, Nazrin.
Okay.
Is that enough, tease?
Another one.
Okay.
Hold on. Let me save this first. Okay, let's go for another picture, yeah?
Look at your camera, guys.
Okay, look at your camera so that we are seeing each other. Okay. All right. 3, 2, 1. Okay.
Nice.
That is
Thank you.
clear.
I still have
Thank you,
something to
everyone.
share about what's coming up in the Situ programs. So we have put up a virtual exhibition on Miro, but it's still work in progress. Me and Huda put it up together, the material slowly. And we also would like to offer private virtual tour. But you can message us if you are interested to join. We haven't opened yet, but we want to do it. Yeah. So next Saturday we have a screening. In this screening, a dance artist Ren Sing and a writer director Ridwan will share about their on-stage and off-stage relationship with the sites they are working on. Where Ren Sing is working on it's entering the 3rd year now at the sections 19 Petaling Jaya. She was finding what is dance in the place where she live in, while Ridwan is more of sights in his play and film and how sight reflects the time and space in his work. And then, so the next week, Saturday, we have conversations with other art initiatives, art spaces, from one from Japan, Zulu-san. She runs Art Lab Ova, and Chunfeng. His initiative was back in 2015, but it has already ended. But it's more of born from the social movement, rising of social movement in Hong Kong. And the other one is Sanitiga with Junyi. And it's a lot about why art initiatives are born and what they are trying to do. And the last one, to wrap up the entire exhibition, it's also a reflection about why we do work on site and how is it really different when we are really on a site, and the thoughts and the gaps lah, basically. So that's all for the programs. And if you have time and you would like to stay on, maybe we can bring you to the Miro board for a tour. So if you want to join, you can stay on. If you don't want to join, you can also leave now. Is Huda still here?
Yes, I'm still here.
Okay, I think people wants to join. Should we do it now? I do lah. I try.
Sure. Go ahead, Pisian.
Okay. Maybe you guys can register in Miro first. Okay. Do you get the link? Maybe Huda can help me paste the link while I share screen. Okay. So this is our sort of like work in progress. We have been trying to upload stuff, but it's still like, we like it that because it's like a peanut board, like a notice board. And then here we have the forward from Japan Foundation. It's like a fake room that you can zoom in.
Oh,
Oh my
nice,
god.
nice, nice.
Cool.
I just got
Wow.
that
It's so
room
cute.
thing.
Yeah, only got one room here, lah. The rest are not rooms. So we had our
Oh,
opening the other day, last Friday, but we haven't uploaded the recording. We upload it soon. But if because you didn't catch the Zoom, so you didn't really get to walk through the Gudang Yee Seng, which the main site, the main exhibition site in this venue. This is a blooper that Huda did, a rehearsal. Did I share sound? Share.
What is DC2 an exhibition about?
Okay. So Situ to me is about finding the meaning of making work aside or on a place. And it's actually started, the idea actually started from where I was working for 3 years, which is Shufitri. It's also a 3 years old space. So basically we grew up together in this space. And as the space started from zero, I also learned how to run a space. I think I want to skip this.
Okay.
Stop there.
Yep, that's great. That's great.
So basically, this is the space where we are working in, like this whole warehouse. Like I said just now, there was 11 businesses. Because it's awkward to see myself talking with Skip. You can see this later. Okay. So over the course of this 1 January, the exhibition was supposed to open on the first week of the lockdown. So then we had to change our plan because of the MCO 2.0. But also it's for the artists to adapt ballet to the pace of uncertainties and changes. So we because we cannot open physically, so we decided to open online instead, and this is how we are meeting everybody here. But it's also like if we keep pushing for a deadline, then it would be too burdening for everybody. So we kind of take a more relaxed pace. But slowly we hope to finish the work for completion by Tuesday, we hope, Tuesday. So yeah, that's the curator statement.
Can I add something here, Christian?
Can, please.
I just want to say what we were supposed to say during the opening is that due to the site-specific nature of this exhibition, we are all, as we are, a work in progress. So as you come to this board, save the link and keep coming back every other day. There's definitely going to be something new on this board. Yeah, that's from me. Thanks.
Thanks, Uda. Yeah. How? Okay. How and the side A one we belum ada apa-apa lagi lah, but the very complete one is the side B's one, sort of complete. Ridwan's and his archive. We are actually working on a 20 minutes video for each of Ridwan and Rensing, and these are the materials from the archive that they are sharing with us that they think it reflects site specificity in their work. So you can read on Ridwan's scripts, and there are some full clips of the short films or the performance recording that you can also watch. These materials are courtesy of Mocha Mocha Inc. Thank you for doing a good documentation. And then for Rensing, she just completed a field work with 10 days walking tour to like sort of reconnect back with the land that we are walking on, or we are standing on, we are sitting on, and to observe and finding our connection with this is either city or town or place we live in, because in this lockdown we can only really go around our house. But this session is private only. It's just a communication between Rensing and each of the participant through email, where after every day half an hour walk, they would send something back to Rensing, and Rensing would give them a next instruction to their walk in the next day. And then, but to give you an idea how Rensing observe her space, there is a journal of a wet market, Journal Pasar, where she joined a Whereas initiative in 2018. And these are her daily observations to a wet market that is not her neighborhood lah. So Old Klang Road is like 10 plus kilometers away from her house, right? So this is like an idea that you can get lah. Then what else? And then Rinfan also did a field work with the participants, where the participants are asked to think about their desktop as a performing stage. So it's a lot of, we can see our lives are really based on the internet. All the applications that we use and all the things that we keep inside our desktop are also intimate and also extension of ourselves. And at the same time, like both of these participants express their memories and also their frustration at this time or with a place that has existed but no longer exists through their express performance workshop. Yeah. So, but the rest, you can kind of like, how many people are on the board? Yeah, you can kind of like come and jump in and get a Miro account. And I just wanted to draw your attention to this coming up conversations, which is by creatives from different part of Asia, where Zulu is like the longest running art space, and Chunfeng is like they run for 6 years and no longer running, and Seni Tiga Juni is like they just started 2 years ago, so it's like different time and space. And here's like an interesting reflection by Chunfeng. I think this is very important to read. You can read very long. Okay, next. And then Zulu-san also has a very interesting interview that was done by a collaboration between Lost Generation, they are from Petaling Street, with Goethe Institute, that kind of give you a understanding of what they actually does. Actually, Zulu-san, she worked very closely with the children from Yokohama, but it's also more of migrant children, because what she's doing, she is providing a space, a day space for them to come in for their activities or learning, informal learning, I think. Yeah. And for Seni Tiga, you can catch up on gongsikiao.com. Yeah. The rest you can explore. I think lastly is this matrix that Huda has been helping me to like kind of put it into words, is that maybe we want to think about, why we should think about site specific or about site. It's like, yeah, basically finding our relationship of connection with the place that we are in. So thank you to the speakers who shared so much today about your journey.
Thank
and
you,
I
Gracian. Thank
really
you.
appreciate it.
Thank
Yeah.
you for
Thank
having
you.
us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us.